Chapter 1: The Skeptic Taxi Driver. Mr. Chong navigated the bustling streets of Penang with the precision of a seasoned taxi driver. Known for his pragmatic approach to life, he scoffed at the mere mention of supernatural occurrences or spirits. Little did he know that a single night in January 2012 would shatter his skepticism and plunge him into a world he never believed existed. On that fateful night, the clock ticked towards midnight as Mr. Chong picked up a mysterious lady passenger near the eerie confines of a cemetery in Bukit Jambil. Unbeknownst to him, this seemingly routine ride would mark the beginning of a bizarre journey that defied his understanding of reality. As the taxi cruised through the quiet streets, Mr. Chong's optimism soared. The promise of higher fares after midnight and the prospect of a swift, traffic-free drive fueled his contentment. The destination, a seaside mansion in Tanjung Bunga, a location that seemed innocuous at first but held secrets that would soon unravel. The lady passenger, with an air of generosity, handed Mr. Chong a crisp $100 bill, insisting that he keep the change. Grateful for the unexpected windfall, Mr. Chong thanked the lady profusely, unaware that this encounter would become a catalyst for a series of inexplicable events. Little did he know that the seemingly ordinary banknote harbored a dark secret, and the journey he thought had concluded that night was just the beginning of a haunting tale that would grip him in the clutches of the supernatural. Chapter 2: The Morning After. The night concluded on an ordinary note for Mr. Chong. He thanked his lucky stars for the generous passenger, looking forward to surprising his wife with the unexpected earnings. However, the morning brought with it a revelation that would turn his world upside down. As Mr. Chong reached for his wallet to retrieve the extra money earned, his fingers brushed against something unfamiliar. Pulling it out, he discovered 2 pieces of half-burnt hell money, traditionally offered to appease spirits in Chinese culture. A chill ran down his spine as he grappled with the eerie realization that the lady passenger, who had appeared so normal, was connected to something beyond the realms of his understanding. The shock of the discovery manifested physically, and Mr. Chong fell ill. His face, once brimming with vitality, turned pallid, and he found himself vomiting strange substances. The inexplicable illness escalated, leaving him in a state of unconsciousness, his murmurs echoing an unknown language that sent shivers down the spines of those around him. Desperate for a solution, Mr. Chong's wife sought guidance from mediums and temples, but the condition only worsened. The once pragmatic taxi driver was now caught in a nightmarish limbo, his ailment defying conventional explanations. It was during this trying period that Mr. Chong's father-in-law, grasping at straws, sought help from an unexpected source. Over a cup of coffee, he shared his son-in-law's plight with a mysterious narrator, providing Mr. Chong's date of birth and a photograph in the hope of finding a remedy. The narrator, armed with a simple calculation and an unconventional solution, advised Mr. Chong's father-in-law to perform a ritual. Yellow joss paper was to be rubbed from Mr. Chong's head to toe, a symbolic cleansing to rid him of the malevolent forces that had taken hold. The climax of the ritual involved burning the joss paper and paper money at a crossroad, a symbolic act believed to sever the connection with the supernatural. Days passed, and a glimmer of hope emerged. Mr. Chong's father-in-law, with a mix of skepticism and desperation, reported a miraculous recovery. The once ailing taxi driver had seemingly cast off the dark shadows that plagued him, but the experience had left an indelible mark on Mr. Chong. Now, armed with a few pieces of the yellow joss paper, he refused to return to his taxi driving profession. The incident had transformed him from a skeptic into a reluctant believer, forever altering the trajectory of his life. Little did he know that the aftermath of that eerie night would continue to haunt him, weaving a tapestry of supernatural intrigue that defied the logic he once held dear. Chapter 3: Seeking Redemption. Word spread through the community about Mr. Chong's mysterious affliction, attracting the attention of an unlikely savior, the acquaintance of Mr. Chong's father-in-law, a person with knowledge of ancient rituals and spiritual practices. Armed with Mr. Chong's date of birth and a photograph, the mysterious figure met with the concerned family. A simple calculation led to a profound recommendation, a ritual involving yellow joss paper to cleanse Mr. Chong from the malevolent forces that had taken residence within him. Desperation fueled the family's willingness to try anything. They procured the yellow joss paper and followed the prescribed steps. With a sense of trepidation, they began rubbing the paper from Mr. Chong's head to his toes, hoping that this ancient remedy would bring relief to his tormented soul. The ritual continued as they made their way to a crossroad, a symbolic intersection of realms, where the joss paper, now charged with spiritual energy, would meet its fiery destiny. As the flames engulfed the yellow paper and mingled with paper money, a palpable tension hung in the air, the outcome uncertain. Days passed in anxious anticipation until, finally, a call from Mr. Chong's father-in-law brought a glimmer of hope. According to him, the ritual had worked wonders. Mr. Chong was on the path to recovery. The mysterious ailment that had plagued him for weeks seemed to dissipate like mist under the morning sun. Yet, the ordeal left an indelible mark on Mr. Chong's psyche. He may have physically recovered, but the scars of that supernatural encounter ran deep. Determined to shield himself from any future spiritual entanglements, Mr. Chong began carrying a few pieces of the yellow joss paper in his taxi, a talisman of protection against the unknown. Despite his recovery, Mr. Chong made a life-altering decision. The taxi driver who once navigated the streets with confidence and pragmatism would never return to his former profession. The supernatural encounter had altered the course of his life, steering him away from the familiar roads of his past into the uncharted territory of newfound beliefs and cautionary tales. As the wheels of his taxi rolled to a stop, a chapter closed, but the echoes of that otherworldly night lingered, forever altering the trajectory of Mr. Chong's journey. Chapter 4: A Changed Perspective. With the specter of the supernatural behind him, Mr. Chong embarked on a journey of self-discovery and reflection. The yellow joss paper, once a symbol of salvation, became a constant companion in his taxi, a tangible reminder of the invisible forces that could intrude upon one's life. The events of that night lingered in the air like an unspoken truth, casting a perpetual shadow over Mr. Chong's once mundane existence. The streets of Penang, once navigated with ease, now held hidden mysteries and uncharted territories that he dared not explore. As the days turned into weeks, Mr. Chong found solace in a newfound spirituality. The rituals and ceremonies that were once dismissed as mere superstitions now held a profound significance in his life. He sought refuge in temples, seeking guidance and protection against the unseen entities that had disrupted his world. His wife, once a bystander in this supernatural saga, now stood by his side as they both grappled with the aftermath of that night. The scars on Mr. Chong's soul ran deep, and the couple forged a stronger bond through shared adversity. The story of Mr. Chong's inexplicable affliction spread through the community, becoming a cautionary tale that echoed through the narrow alleys and busy streets. The once pragmatic taxi driver transformed into a living testament to the thin veil that separates the known from the unknown. As he adapted to his new reality, Mr. Chong delved into the study of spiritual practices, hoping to understand the forces that had disrupted his life. The yellow joss paper, once a protective shield, now served as a conduit between the tangible and intangible, a tangible link to a world beyond human comprehension. Despite his recovery, an unspoken fear lingered in Mr. Chong's eyes. The once bustling streets of Penang now held a silent whisper of the supernatural, a reminder that the boundaries between the seen and unseen were more porous than he had ever imagined. And so, with every turn of the taxi's wheel, Mr. Chong navigated not just the physical roads but also the ethereal realms, forever changed by a night that defied logic and reason. Chapter 5: Embracing the Unseen. In the wake of his otherworldly encounter, Mr. Chong found himself on a transformative journey, both spiritually and emotionally. The incident had opened his eyes to a realm beyond the tangible, a world of spirits and energies that existed on the periphery of human comprehension. As the whispers of his supernatural ordeal echoed through the community, Mr. Chong's tale became a source of fascination and caution. People sought him out, eager to hear the first-hand account of a man who had ventured into the enigmatic realms that lay beyond the veil of ordinary existence. Rather than recoiling from the inexplicable, Mr. Chong chose to embrace it. He delved into the study of spiritual traditions, seeking the guidance of wise sages and learned masters. Temples became his sanctuaries, and ancient texts his companions, as he endeavored to unravel the mysteries that had once threatened to consume him. The yellow joss paper, once a mere instrument of salvation, became a symbol of Mr. Chong's resilience and newfound understanding. He carried it not just for protection but as a bridge between the tangible world and the ethereal forces that continued to shape his perception of reality. His wife, too, joined him on this spiritual quest, their bond deepening as they faced the unknown together. The once pragmatic taxi driver had become a seeker of truths, navigating not just the physical roads but the spiritual pathways that crisscrossed the unseen dimensions. As months passed, Mr. Chong's story evolved from a tale of fear and affliction to one of empowerment and enlightenment. He became a beacon of hope for those who grappled with the shadows lurking at the edges of their lives, offering guidance and solace to those who sought to understand the mysteries that eluded conventional understanding. The streets of Penang, once fraught with unseen dangers, now felt familiar to Mr. Chong in a way they hadn't before. He moved through them with a quiet confidence, acknowledging the existence of the unseen forces that danced in the periphery of his senses. The story of the taxi driver who transcended the boundaries of the ordinary became a legend, whispered in hushed tones among the locals. And as Mr. Chong continued his journey, embracing the unseen with open arms, he carried with him the wisdom gleaned from that fateful night, an enduring testament to the resilience of the human spirit in the face of the supernatural. Chapter 6: A New Chapter Begins. The tale of Mr. Chong's odyssey through the realms of the unseen had woven itself into the fabric of Penang's folklore. As the months unfolded, a new chapter in his life began, one of purpose, understanding, and a quiet determination to navigate the dualities of the seen and the unseen. In his quest for knowledge, Mr. Chong found himself drawn to spiritual mentors and ancient teachings. The temples, once places of refuge, became classrooms where he absorbed the wisdom passed down through generations. Guided by the elders, he explored the intricacies of rituals, ceremonies, and the symbiotic relationship between the tangible and the ethereal. The yellow joss paper, once a safeguard against malevolent forces, evolved into a symbol of Mr. Chong's resilience and connection to the spiritual realm. He learned to harness its power not just for protection but as a conduit for positive energies, a tool to harmonize the dual nature of existence. As Mr. Chong embraced his newfound understanding, he felt a calling to share his experiences with others. He became a source of comfort for those grappling with the unknown, offering insights and reassurance to those who walked the fine line between the material and spiritual worlds. The community, initially captivated by the supernatural nature of his story, now looked to Mr. Chong as a guide, a bridge between the ordinary and the extraordinary. His taxi, once a vessel solely for navigating the physical streets, became a metaphorical chariot carrying him between the realms of the known and the mysterious. In the quiet corners of Penang, people sought Mr. Chong's counsel, sharing their own encounters with the unseen. He became a beacon of understanding, weaving together the threads of individual stories into a tapestry that explored the intricacies of the spiritual landscape. The once pragmatic taxi driver, who had recoiled from the supernatural, had transformed into a guardian of the metaphysical. The fear that once gripped his heart had given way to a profound respect for the delicate balance between the tangible and the intangible. As Mr. Chong's reputation as a spiritual guide grew, so did his commitment to serving the community. The journey that began with an unforeseen encounter near a cemetery had led him to a vocation that transcended the boundaries of the mundane, a calling that resonated with the echoes of that mysterious night. And so, with each passing day, Mr. Chong embarked on this new chapter of his life, a chapter written not just in the ink of everyday experiences but in the intangible ink of spiritual revelations, weaving a story that transcended the ordinary and embraced the extraordinary.